On the calendar, but the first week of the international series, we've got Jackson Dart getting the start for Big Blue, a potential NFC championship preview with Bucks and Eagles, and another Monday Night Football doubleheader. He's Ed. I'm Brandon. Welcome to the Breaking and Entering podcast. Ed, what's going on, man?
Another day, sir. Another day. Looking forward to these games this weekend. Ireland game. Can't remember. I don't think the teams have played in Ireland yet. Maybe they have. I can't remember. But definitely ready to get into it. Shall we get this opening drive started? The Eagles linebacker Nolan Smith has been placed on injury reserve after straining his triceps. He's expected to return in November. The Titans have traded cornerback Jarvis Brownlee Jr. to the Jets for a 2026 sixth-round pick. Justin Fields could start Monday night against the Dolphins if he clears concussion protocol. Washington will be without quarterback Jaden Daniels and wide receiver Terry McLaurin against the Falcons. Lord help us. Quarterback J.J. McCarthy will miss Sunday's game in Ireland against the Steelers. Patriots defensive coordinator Terrell Williams has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Prayers go out to him. Wide receiver Xavier Worthy is expected to play Sunday against the Ravens. Not sure Brandon's too happy about that news. And quarterback Brock Purdy will be back after missing the last two games with a toe injury.
All right, so it was a last-second field goal to help the Seahawks improve to 3-1 last night against the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, he just hasn't figured out a way to beat the Seahawks, at least as of late. That's 8 straight losses against his NFC West rival, excuse me. It was clear from the jump, Arizona, they were missing James Conner. Kyler ended up being the team's leading rusher. He had 41 yards, and the team overall only had 89 on the ground. He had 2 interceptions. It was inability to slow down that Clint Kubiak offense on the other side. His defense could not slow down Seattle's offense. That was the difference, in my opinion. 1 interception, he kind of barely overthrew Marvin Harrison Jr. just a hair. And there were 4 defenders in that area as well. Of course, it ended up going the opposite direction. They both redeemed themselves, though, in the fourth quarter. They had a nice touchdown in the back left corner of the end zone. And I know some Cardinals fans were hot on social media late last night and this morning talking about how, after the play, Marvin kind of like went down like he was praying after that touchdown. They was like, because he really hadn't done much this season, but they're slowly starting to build that connection, Cardinals fans. I know it's taking a little bit longer than what y'all thought. I know it's not the same as what he was at Ohio State, but it's getting there. But then Seattle's side of things, they possessed the ball longer. They had fewer penalties. They nearly doubled Arizona's yards per play. They nearly lost the game, but JSN, he had that clutch 22-yard catch on that final drive that set up Jason Myers for that 52-yarder field goal. I kind of feel a little sorry for Arizona. The first 3 games, it was more so the penalties and late game collapse. And then this game, they had an extremely slow start. The first 3 quarters, they really couldn't get anything going, and they put them behind the 8 ball there at the end. But I feel like they can be all right if they tighten some things up. I still not lost my confidence in the Cardinals. This right now looks like Seattle's the better team. Ed, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I agree with you. Still have some faith in the Cardinals, but that, as you mentioned, that loss of James Conner was pretty evident last night. As you said, Kyler Murray leading the team in rushing with 41 yards. I got to talk about Marvin Harrison a little bit. He did redeem himself a little bit in the second half, but that first half was god awful. You talk about the interception that Kyler Murray threw, where he kind of overthrew it. It looked like they had a miscommunication. Either Marvin Harrison gave up on a route, or they didn't know what was going on, because that interception he threw, Marvin Harrison definitely looked like he could have kept going and made a play on the ball. He threw another interception where it hit Marvin Harrison in the hands in stride, and the ball bobbled in between Marvin Harrison's hands. And the Seahawks defender was able to pick it off. So it was not a good first half for Marvin Harrison. There was 2 other mishaps where he tried to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison. They didn't communicate, or just things were off of him. So that first half was really bad. So the second half, I kind of got why he had that great touchdown catch against one of the Seahawks' best players, Devon Witherspoon. in the corner of the end zone. I'm sure he was happy and just relieved that he was able to do that. But they definitely need to get it going on a good rapport because if he would have played better the first half, who knows what the outcome could have be for this game. Going over to the Seahawks, man, pretty good, decent game from Sam Darnold. It was kind of strange. There was Jackson Smith and Jigba JSN, as everybody likes to call it, didn't have any targets in that first half. Like he didn't get the ball thrown to him once. But the second half, he came alive. He talked about that clutch catch he had late in the game. It was a 3rd and 6. I think that was 36 yards that Sam Darnold caught JSN with. So that was nice to see because I got him on my fantasy team and I was like, please throw her the ball. Thank you. I wish you did this more in the game, but I can live with it. Salute to Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. He was out last game with a foot injury. Charbonnet was, but he came back this game, was able to score a touchdown. Kenneth Walker, 81 yards rushing, had some pretty good rushes when they needed to. The kicker for the Cardinals, Chad Ryland, he did hit a 57-yarder, but at the end of the game, really led to the loss for the Cardinals because he kicked the ball right before the landing zone. 28 seconds left in the game. That caused a penalty where the Seahawks got the ball on their 40-yard line. They didn't have too much to go to get a field goal off. And then Jason Myers, salute to you because he missed a field goal at about 50. I think it was a 50-plus yarder just before that drive where you made the game-winning kick. Saw him getting on the field, took a couple of sniffs of that smell of sauce to get himself fired up, and he was able to drill it. So salute to you, Jason Myers, for kicking that field goal to win a game, and Chad Ryland. I don't know if you're in hiding right now because that was definitely bad, especially after you make a 57-yard field goal early in the game. It feels like it should be easy to kick the ball in the landing zone, but I'm not sure. Maybe you just misjudged it. You were trying to squib it and make the ball bounce, but you just didn't land in the landing zone. I don't know, but that definitely put the Cardinals behind the 8 ball in that one. Overall, though, I thought it was kind of a sloppy game to the fourth quarter. The Cardinal was down 14 points in that fourth quarter, and they finally came back, tied the game up, but just didn't have enough to win it. Going forward, I need to see what they're going to do with the run game. Trey Benson, Martin DeMarcado, see if any of those guys can step up. They'll try to bring somebody else in. But that run game, if Kyler Murray is going to be the leading rusher most games, I don't know. But hopefully Marvin Harrison and them get on a better rapport because if you see flashes every game, it seems like that touchdown catch he had a couple more grabs in the fourth quarter as well. So I don't know. Hopefully they can, build a better relationship going forward, but they definitely need to, especially with James Conner out. We'll see how it goes though.
Sure. As Commanders, they're looking for their first road win of 2025, where the Falcons are hoping to win their first home game of the season. Commanders and Falcons from Mercedes-Benz Stadium Sunday afternoon. Let's hear Ed's thoughts.
Another game without Jaden Daniels. Now we got Scary Terry out. Oh my goodness. I mean, honestly, this game feels like a pick 'em. Not even being biased. I like what Marcus Mariota did out there, but our other running back, Bill Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, he's questionable with a knee injury. I'm sure he's going to play, but how effective is he going to be? We're already down Austin Eckler. We traded Brian Robinson, so McNichols and my guy, whose names escape me at the moment. Gosh darn it, Rodriguez. Hopefully, they can play well, and I'm sure Mariota is going to scramble for some yards as well. Just Mariota, please don't try to be a hero like you were last game and fumble the damn ball. Get down when you get the yards needed. Don't try to be turned into a running back like you are one. You're not a running back. Get down when needed to be. I'm really concerned about Drake London and Bijan Robinson. Even though AJ Terrell is out for the Falcons as well, their best cornerback, he's dealing with a hamstring injury. I'm still concerned about the Falcons defense. They've been pretty good getting to the quarterback and stopping the run. So I'm kind of concerned about that and how our offense is going to look out there. But I still got to pick my team. I think the win against the Raiders was really good. Our defensive line was pretty dominant against the Raiders' offensive line. So I'm hoping we've been doing what we're doing so far. I contain the run. If we are able to keep Bijan Robinson and my guy Tyler Algier in check, I like our chances. But that secondary for my Commanders, I don't know. Don't let Michael Penix get going. Hopefully, the D line can put some pressure on him, and they don't put Michael Penix in a rhythm where he gets Drake London going. I'm not even going to mention Kyle Pitts, but I can just, Lord, please, Kyle Pitts, of all games, don't decide to go off against my Commanders, please. Just keep it cool. Been doing what you've been doing so far. Just keep it chill, keep it cool. Block a little bit, get a 5-yard catch here and there. But other than that, I don't need you going off for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Look like you did your rookie year with Matt Ryan at the quarterback when you had over 1,000 yards. I'm gonna pick my Commanders, but I'm worried about this one. Jaden Daniels out, Terry McLaurin's out. A rookie running back Bill is dealing with a knee injury, so I don't know how healthy he's gonna be, but I guess it's the bias in me, hometown guy. I'm gonna still pick my Commanders, but Lord help us. Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I think my biggest questions are in this game. I got three of them. How will Michael Penix Jr. respond after that Carolina loss, blowout, shutout there on the road? Can someone else step up for the Atlanta passing game from the receiver standpoint? And three, which Washington defense will show up? Back to the first point. Um, Last week, Penix just looked confused out there. He wasn't as sharp as he was in the first two games. Carolina threw some different looks his way, and he responded by throwing two interceptions, including that pick six. Uh, my second point, Bijan Robinson is their leading receiver. Drake London, he's been up and down. Uh, in fact, nobody else has scored a receiving touchdown except for Bijan. And my third point, Washington's defense, in my opinion, they played decent in weeks 1 and 3. Not great, but enough to get wins. Week 2 against Green Bay, Ed talked about it in depth after that one. It's like they didn't even show up there on the road there in Lambeau Field. The linebackers were non-existent, nowhere near to be found. So will these linebackers show up? Will the secondary hold its own? That's my question with Washington heading into Sunday. I was kind of torn heading into this one. Then I saw that Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry are going to be out. I think that's going to be a little too much for Washington to overcome. I know it's kind of a homecoming for Marcus Mariota. He played there a few years ago. So we'll see how he responds, how will the crowd impact him and all that kind of stuff. But I just feel like this Falcons team will respond with Raheem Morris. I think that 30-0 shutout was not what we expect from this Falcons team going down the road as far as them losing in that type of fashion and being out of sync and stuff like that. I don't think we'll see that again. And again, without Jaden and Scary Terry, I'm just not sure Washington has enough to get by the Falcons there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Lord help us. Debo, Zach Ertz, please, y'all. We need y'all. But okay, let me move on. I don't want to. Like we mentioned earlier, there's a matchup in Ireland. Vikings taking on the Steelers. Carson Wentz versus Aaron Rodgers. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this matchup overseas?
I really don't like these international games. I think it's too much travel for these players. It's an early kickoff, so we got to wake up super early. You got to wake up even earlier than I do.
6:30 damn start.
Exactly. To watch these games, it throws your whole morning off. The gameplay is sloppy most of the time. I can never get the correct pick unless it's Jacksonville. Jacksonville tends to win these games, but I'm gonna go with Minnesota in this one. They were totally different offense last week with Carson Wentz at quarterback instead of JJ McCarthy. He was efficient, distributing the ball. Jordan Mason in the run game got going, and Jettas and Hawkinson were out there making plays. Not to mention their defense had their way with Cincinnati, 2 defensive touchdowns, and they contained Chase and Higgins. Pittsburgh, they're still missing several guys on that defense, and their run game hasn't been all that great. I talked about it a few weeks ago. They're being beat in the trenches, and that's one of the worst places you can be beat at. Your offensive line isn't doing good, and neither is your defensive line. The Vikings really like to move around before the snap on the defensive side of the ball. They're great at disguising their coverages. I think Pittsburgh offensive line and Aaron Rodgers could be in for a very long day. I will say the X factor though is Jordan Mason, the Vikings running back. Pittsburgh has not been great at stopping the run over the past 10 games, and that's dating back to last year. In case none of y'all, in case a few of y'all aren't good at math like me. If Minnesota's run game gets going, I think it makes things even easier for Carson Wentz and his skill position players who honestly had probably a career day last week there against the Bengals. But I'll likely be wrong. Again, I could never get these international game picks right unless it's Jacksonville playing in them. But I'm going Minnesota on the overseas, cross the pond, whatever you want to call it. What do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I like the Vikings too. Steelers, not only can they not really stop the run, but they haven't been able to run the ball either too well. So I can see the Steelers defense being out there for a long time trying to deal with Jordan Mason. And the 3 game suspicion is over, everyone. Jordan Addison is back. So that's another weapon that the Vikings is going to have out there on the offensive side of the ball. TJ Hawkinson, as you mentioned, Justin Jefferson, and they got their boy Jordan Addison back. So I'm sure the offense is going to be really happy to see him back as well. I'm leaning towards the Vikings in this one. I think the Vikings defense might make Aaron Rodgers look a little old out there, but we'll see. Him and DK Metcalf have been playing well, but that Vikings defense that you talk about a lot, they're pretty good. I can see them, making Aaron Rodgers see 15,000 people in the field when it's only 11 on the people on the field. So we'll see how it goes. But honestly, I think the Vikings will win this comfortably, unless the Steelers figure out the way to run the ball. I'm not sure though. I think it's going to be a long day out there for the Vikings. Excuse me, for the Steelers. Vegas got this closer than what I expected. They only got the Vikings favored by 2.5 points. I can't really, I shouldn't doubt Mike Tomlin. He usually has his guys ready to play, but I just think this is going to be a long road. But maybe Carson Wentz will have one of those games where he's not that good. We see him as a journeyman that he's been on lately. So, but I'm definitely leaning toward the Vikings in this one. We'll see how it goes though. Matchup I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the most over the weekends is the Colts going to LA to take on the Rams. Colts undefeated so far this year, taking on the Rams, coming off a heartbreaking loss against the Eagles. I feel like the Rams are going to be very motivated to come out there and play, especially how they lost last week. Special teams, they better not give up any more damn block kicks. Also, the Colts are dealing with one of their cornerbacks being out, Kenny Moore. So they're going to have their hands full dealing with Devontae Adams and Puka Nakua and Matt Stafford. Um, I like what the Colts been doing so far. They beat the Broncos. I think that's the only real team they beat, in my opinion, that's going to be making noise at the end of the season. Other 2 teams, I'm not really too sure about and what they did. I mean, the Giants, we see how they look out there, and then the Titans. I mean, I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. I'm leaning towards the Rams in this one. I like Jared Verse. I really like as long as the Colts defense doesn't really get a hold of Matt Stafford, I think him and Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams are going to do some things out there. And also, I think Kyron Williams is going to have a pretty good game too. As long as the Rams can keep the Jonathan Taylor in check, he should be all right. But I don't really see the Colts doing too much. They could prove me wrong though. I mean, they're 3-0 so far, but I think this will be a tough test. We'll see how that Colts defense looks against the Rams. But I feel like Matt Stafford is going to be able to get the job done and win this game for the LA Rams. But Brandon, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree. This will be the toughest test for this 3-0 Colts team. I have doubts they'll come out of Los Angeles with a win. I'm gonna start with 2 guys you mentioned, Puka Nakua, Devontae Adams. They haven't been scoring a lot of touchdowns to start the season, but their production has been there. Receptions and yardage is definitely there to start the season. I think they'll have their way with those Colts defensive backs. And then they've got a 6'6" tight end as well, not named Tyler Higbee, who we all know, who scored 2 touchdowns this season. His name is Davis Allen. Had to look him up because I hadn't even heard of him. He's the 3rd string tight end from what I saw. I think he'll pose as a mismatch for this Indianapolis defense as well. And then, of course, they got Matthew Stafford, the guy that can throw guys open. He's no Tua Tagovailoa. He's no Bo Nix. He's no Cam Ward. And no disrespect to those guys. Those are the 3 previous quarterbacks that the Colts defense have faced. Matthew Stafford is on a different level. All right. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been there. He's seen every type of defense. And then on the other side, I think the Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula, he's going to have his guys focused on getting their hands on the ball when they get close to Daniel Jones, because all it takes is one fumble with Daniel Jones to turn the whole game the other direction with him. We've seen it before in his previous games with his previous franchise. So yeah, I'm sure that Shane Steichen back with the Colts. He's going to try to spread things out a bit because he saw the success his former Eagles team had in the second half last week against this defense. We saw how Devontae Smith and um, AJ Brown came alive there on the at a halftime. So yeah, I think it might also be good to feed his boy Jonathan Taylor to hope that they can wear down this Los Angeles front seven as well. But if Indy can pull this off, I think they'll have my confidence for the near future. But in all, I think the Rams are going to take this one at home. I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams over the Colts.
Yes, sir.
All right, everyone. This episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD health and wellness company. Check out their line of CBD infused products, which are a perfect after workout refuel for athletes, a pain reliever for weekend warriors, and even a natural sports drink for us armchair quarterbacks. Their featured product is CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite of mine, as well as tinctures and mint and natural flavors. They are veteran, women, and minority owned, so come get some of this sweet temptation and taste the premium difference. Use code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is www.premium.com. Again, that's www.premium.com. And now back to our show. 1-2 versus 1-2 Ravens at Chiefs. Sunday afternoon, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Nance and Romo will have the call on CBS. I was going to give it to Ed first, but I'm going to take it real quick. I feel like this is a must-win for Baltimore. We're coming off a game where we got dominated from start to finish, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But for Sunday, we got to get back to the basics: gap integrity and stopping the run. Um, that'll be easier said than done because Matabike is out, and it's looking like that might be a season-ending injury. I'm hearing possibly he's dealing with a neck. And those things are that's like the back. They can have a long-term impact and a lingering type of impact on you. Kyle Van Noy is still out, and then Travis Jones and Broderick Washington are questionable. If y'all don't know, Travis Jones and Broderick are both defensive tackles. Matabike pretty much plays on the inside as well. He can go outside, so that's very thin on the inside. We did call up Brent Urban. I don't know why we didn't call him up last week from the practice squad. He is an edge rusher, but he does have pretty good success against the run in his time with us in previous years. KC, they've not run the ball all that effective, and we don't need it to start on Sunday. So if they're going to beat us, I want them to beat us through the air. Again, I'd rather give up 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, 450, and 6 touchdowns like we did to Tua a couple years ago than to get gashed on the ground because generally we can recover and keep up with them if we have enough time on the clock. So yeah, speaking of the air, Tyquan Thornton, he's coming off. He's coming on strong as their deep threat. I'm hoping Nate Wiggins will cover him, but it's also looking like Xavier Worthy is going to be back for this one. God help us. Oh, I hope he gets kidnapped. So I hope he gets kidnapped on the way to the stadium and safely makes it back at around 8 o'clock Eastern time with his team. I'm gonna need Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, and my guys on defense to have the best game of the season. When we have them in second and long, third and long, we need to get those stops. The last thing we want is for Patrick Mahomes to get loose. Again, I think he's their leading rusher right now. He's definitely had some big plays in that Philly game for first down. Overall, this year, he has 15 scrambles for 128 yards and 10 first downs. Again, second and third and long, we need to set the edges, make sure there's a spy. I never thought I'd say this. Make sure there's a spy on Patrick Mahomes. He kind of has that John Elway frame. I don't know if y'all have ever looked at them two together. Their upper body looks the same, but they can run, when they need to. Going back to the offensive side of the ball, we need to protect the ball. Steve Spagnuolo, he's really good at creating pre-snap confusion. He'll have guys lined up like they're going man-to-man and they're playing zone, looking like they're going to blitz 8 guys and they drop 4. They do all types of stuff. I know LJ will be prepared. I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt that the running backs will be able to pick up their blocks, and so will the tight ends and most of the offensive line. But I'm concerned about our guards, Voorhees and Falele. I hope those guys were deep in the film session watching these defenders Nick Bolton, Chris Jones, the guy I talk about in every Kansas City mention, George Kaloftis. Those guys can come after the quarterback. We got to be on our A game. And we need our wide receivers to have a game like the Chargers wide receivers did in week one. Last week, we had no separation. That's what led to those 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson because Lamar was trying to run around, try to, step up in the pocket. And by that time, it was collapsing and they was hitting him from behind. So, yeah, I think this game is winnable. It won't be easy, but we definitely have a better chance than in years past because Kansas City is not looking like themselves right now. But again, that Xavier Worthy coming back really concerns me on top of Thornton coming alive for them as well. Um, I think we could stop them in the run game. Knock on wood. I ain't got no wood around me, but knock on wood. So yeah, please, Baltimore, please bounce back and beat these clowns. Please. Ed, what are your thoughts?
I got some concerns, man. You talk about that defensive line and all the injuries you got along there, man. I hope y'all be able to stop the run. I know the Lions got a pretty good offensive line and 1-2 punch. I'm not saying that the Chiefs running game is really good right now, but they was making holes. They was punching out right in the mouth, running straight up the middle. I can see, the Chiefs finally be able to get that running game off Pacheco and Kareem Hunt and crew out there. So, hopefully y'all can figure out a way. I don't know if y'all need to blitz more or what. You talked about Brent Urban being moved up off the practice squad, but hopefully y'all figure out a way to not let the run defense get gashed the way it did against the Lions. Um, I'm slightly concerned. You didn't mention your boy Marlon Humphrey. I'm slightly concerned about the secondary. If Patrick Mahomes gets a rhythm, you're talking about Tyquan Thornton and Xavier Worthy coming back. Juju Smith-Schuster, he can make plays when needed. He's not a big time playmaker, but he can make plays when he's called on. So, hopefully, y'all keep that Chiefs offense in check. I think the best way I can do that is keep them out the field very long drives, run the ball. Derrick Henry, I don't need if you need to put some sticky tape on your hands or something. Hopefully you can hold on to the ball. Have some scotch tape in your pocket and wrap it around your the football when you got it or something. Hopefully you can hold on to the ball. Y'all don't have any turnovers and just keep the Chiefs offense off the field and y'all tire out that Chiefs defense. I like your chances of winning, but that Ravens defense, honestly, man, I know y'all played against some tough teams, the Bills and then the Lions last week. So, but that defense really gives me concern. Kyle Hamilton is going to have a great game. Y'all better not let Travis Kelce get in y'all head. He looks a little over the hill. So hopefully y'all don't let any mental mistakes happen. Him firing up like he did with Kyle Van Noy last year. Um, just play safe and smart football. Y'all should come out with this, but you never know with Patrick Mahomes, man. I can see him. He is the leading rusher, as you said. I could definitely see him making some plays with his feet. He's a big dude too, stocky dude. You see him putting the shoulder into people, and they go the other way. He's laying the wood when he needs to be. So hopefully, if y'all do get a chance to put a lick on him, y'all put a real lick on him, and make sure he knees or slides to the ground, not trying to go for extra yards. He knows, oh, these boys ain't playing, they head hunting out there. You gotta send a message to him. Kyle Hamilton definitely can do that. Roquan Smith, I feel like he can do that too, but don't let him get in a groove because if he gets going, that offense is going. Andy Reid and then they start going for it on 4th and 5, stuff like that. I'm not too sure. This game's really a toss up for me right now. Um, y'all playing in Kansas City too. Ugh. I don't know, man. I feel like if y'all lose this game, I know you said it's a must win. I feel like if y'all lose this game, though, go to 1-3, y'all still can come back, in my opinion, and still make some noise down the line, get to the playoffs. So I'm trying to think, man. This is a toss up for me. I'm a lean to y'all. So lean to y'all. So I think that running game, y'all should be able to run the ball. I don't think Derrick Henry's going to have turnovers this year. I hope not, at least. And then, like you said, the wide receivers. I'm looking at Zay Flowers specifically. I'm hoping Zay Flowers has a bounce back game against this Chiefs defense. And then I think it looks like Isaiah likely has a chance to play. He's showing up questionable from what I'm seeing on Yahoo Sports. So if he's out there, that's definitely a good addition for the offense too. But no turnovers, and hopefully the penalties get down. Y'all should win this game. That's my take on it.
Real quick before you go, look up the John Elway, y'all, when you get a chance. Look up the John Elway rushing touchdown in his first Super Bowl that he won. when he's running on that goal line, he kind of stretches out for that touchdown. His frame again, it's just like Patrick Mahomes. Well, Patrick Mahomes got a frame just like him. So when you mention the way he be, kind of bulldozing people, especially this year, kind of remind me of that. And two, I didn't mention Marlon Humphrey because the last time he had a game like this was last year, week 2. I mentioned the fans heckled him, and they've been hot on him on Twitter all week on X. He got right after that. So TJ Tampa and Nate Wiggins are kind of outplaying him right now. Definitely, last compared to last week's game, but yeah, we'll see how he responds for sure. I'll be watching his ass too. Number 44.
All right. This could be. I think you had this as your NFC Championship game, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but Eagles taking on the Bucks. One of the early games. I think this could be a potential game of the week as well. Brandon, what are your thoughts on the Eagles taking on the Tampa Bay Bucks?
TV, y'all, Sunday afternoon at Raymond James Stadium. If your team ain't playing at 1 o'clock Eastern, I would try to watch this game for sure. I like the Bucks in this one. I went
Mm.
back and forth with it, but I'm gonna go with the Bucks. Todd Bowles and his Tampa defense. He's had the Eagles number over the past few years. Tampa Bay, they've done a great job when they play Jalen Hurts of flushing him out of the pocket and to his left. I got a few plays I'm showing on the screen um, when we send this into production from the blowout Tampa Bay win last year. 3rd and long, Jalen got out of the pocket. He gained 7 yards, but they got a holding penalty. Um, Killed the drive right there. Next play that I'm showing, 1st and 10 in the red area. Jalen ducks the Levante David pass rush. David finds the quarterback, finds Jalen Hurts again, leads to a sack fumble. Another play, similar play, 3rd and 29 this time, 5-man rush, another sack fumble. They've got the recipe to rattle Jalen Hurts, and he doesn't get angry. You don't see that out of Jalen Hurts, but if you look at his face, because they like them close-up shots on TV, he definitely looked flustered against them. I think these two teams right now, though, they're pretty evenly matched. When you look at the stat sheet, the only glaring difference is Baker has 6 passing touchdowns, and I think Jalen has 3 on the year. I'll say this though, the only concern for me as far as Tampa goes, the main concern is their wide receiver room is banged up. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are now out. Abuka, he's had an amazing start to his career. He's just one of those guys. It seemed like he's that guy that can expose a defense. He can make a play or two and change the outcome of a game. He's just that guy, and it's pretty good. Again, I said going into the season, he didn't really have to rush into being that guy because they had 2 future Hall of Famers. But of course, Godwin was out to start the season. Mike Evans got injured last week or the week before. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of teams aren't threatened by this Eagles. Definitely the passing game, but the offense overall, like in years past, we haven't seen Saquon exactly get off to the fast start that he got off to last year. So I'm not saying Philadelphia is going to get blown out. I think this will be close. But every time I picked the Eagles this year, they came back and won. I picked Kansas City in week 2, and I picked Los Angeles last week, and they won both of them. And they were statement wins against 2 good teams as well. So hopefully I'm not wrong on this one. Hopefully I get it right. Ed, how do you feel about this one?
As you mentioned, man, I really need to see what Baker's going to do without Mike Evans out there. I know he's got the rookie Abuka who's been playing well, but the loss of Mike Evans, I think that's going to be huge in the pass game. You talked about Chris Godwin not being back yet. They are getting, I think Tristan Wirth might have an opportunity to play, so that'd be really good for the offensive line. We'll see how the offensive line looks against the Eagles' defensive line. Even though the Eagles' defense so far doesn't have a lot of sacks, I think they only got like 3 sacks on the season. They still getting pressure on the quarterback. They still, doing pretty decent against the run, in my opinion. So I want to see who's able to run the ball, who's able to stop the run, of course. But I need to see if Baker's going to be able to, get anything off. I think he's going to have to make a lot of plays with his feet in this one. Scramble out, extend the play, and then scramble off and get some yards. But those linebackers for the Eagles, they got a couple of playmakers. I'm sure Zach Bond's name will be called a little bit as well. So we'll see how it goes in that front. Honestly, the Eagles showed me a lot last week coming back against the Rams. Jalen Hurts passing the ball, A.J. Brown, and Avonta Smith. I can definitely see both of those receivers making plays when they need to. You know, 3rd and 10, AJ Brown name was called and they couldn't do nothing with him. He catches the ball, he's breaking tackles, getting even more yards. And then, of course, the tried and true Dallas Goedert's out there as well. He had a touchdown last week against the Rams too. And then I'm not even gonna mention Saquon Barkley. We already know kind of nuclear weapon he can be and the things he's doing out there. I'm leaning towards the Eagles on this one. We'll see if any touch push controversy happens this week where the commentators circle the Eagles false start, and we'll see. Let me say something real quick because one of my friends, AJ, is a big Eagles fan. He sent me an article talk about make sure you include this in your coverage next week. There's an article that sent me why the NFL can't stop the illegal tactics teams are using to defend the tush push. Teams are using disconcerting signals on defense, mimicking the snap count, and the way the game is officiated makes it difficult to stop. So that's one reason, you haven't really heard too much about why the refs aren't really penalizing the Eagles if you see them looking like they're jumping early or moving first before the ball gets snapped. So we'll see if that continues this week and if the Eagles, if there's any controversy with that Eagles tush push. But back to this game, though, I'm leaning towards the Eagles, man. That game last week was a statement win. Even though the Rams had a chance to win, it looks like Eagles are turning into those teams where they find ways to win games like the Patriots used to do, like the Chiefs used to do. It feels like the Eagles is that next team where they find ways to win games if it's close. Either the team they play against makes a mistake or they find a way to make a play themselves to win a game. So give me the Eagles in a close one. I think Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, Devonta Smith are gonna make some noise out there. I like the Eagles in this one.
Real quick before we go to winless teams, the Bucks did re-sign one of their rookie defensive tackles they bought in. They cut him because he was overweight and he
Yeah.
wouldn't lose weight. So it'll be interesting to see if they use him Sunday to try to stop the tush push, or if that'll be their tactic to again to attempt to try to stop it. We'll see what happens for sure. All right, we're going to talk about 5 winless teams I believe we got right now. And let you all know our thoughts with them moving forward. Let's start with the New Orleans Saints, Ed.
Yeah, there's as you guys can see across the screen, we got the Houston Texans, Tennessee Titans, Miami Dolphins, New York Jets, the Saints, and the Giants are all winless. You want to start the Saints? I think the chances of them turning their season around are about as good as a snowball chance in hell. I won't be surprised if they make a quarterback change before the end of the season. No offense to Spencer Rattler, I just think they'll probably want to give the rookie some shine if they continue to lose games. I don't really see the Saints doing anything. The Tennessee Titans, I like what Cam Ward's doing out there. I just think the division they're in right now, Jaguars, the Texans, I don't think they'll be better than those teams. The Colts, of course, have been playing really well. I doubt the I doubt the Titans are going to do anything. Miami Dolphins, if you look at their schedule, they're playing who are they playing this week? They're playing the Jets this week. That's a winnable game, in my opinion. We'll see how that goes. They could lose that game, but they play the Panthers next week. Even though they look really good against the Falcons, I don't know if just the Panthers have the Falcons number. I like the Dolphins' chances in that game. Then they play the Chargers. They probably lose that one. I don't know. Then they got the Browns next. That's another toss-up. But going forward, I think the Dolphins have a good chance to turn this thing around. Tua has shown in his career when he's healthy and he has time out there, he has a good rapport with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That defense does give me concern, but this is a team I definitely could see turning their season around and being competitive at the end of the year. Houston, Texas, man, that defense alone just gives me enough faith in them turning their season around. They're dealing with a ton of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. When I say ton, I mean key playmakers. I'm not even sure Joe Mixon is going to be back this year. I'm sure if he was there, their season would be a little different. The games they lost have been really close. They took the Bucks down to the wire. The Jags game, they blew that at the end of the game too with interceptions and everything like that. If they had Tank Dell too, who knows what this team looks like, but I can't lose faith in CJ Stroud. Yeah, I know they had the sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it, but the offensive line was horrendous. They had injuries to Tank Dell at the end of the year, and they still limped their way into the playoffs. I think CJ Stroud has a talent to overcome a lot. Their schedule is very difficult. I'm not gonna lie. They got a winnable game this week though. They're playing the Titans. They don't win that game, Lord help them. They got your Ravens the week after that, October 5th. No comment on that game. They got a tough schedule. The Seahawks after that, but I just think this team, especially that defense, has enough talent to turn this team around and be competitive at the end of the year. The New York Giants, they're going to go to Jackson Dart now. We'll see how that goes. Tyrone Tracy, he's out for the foreseeable future. Cam Scatterbo looks like a really decent back so far, but I'm not sure what they're going to do. The offensive line still stinks. Jackson Darts is unproven. I don't know what they're going to do, honestly. So I can't really see them turning the season around. They could prove me wrong. And then the Jets, man, the Jets, honestly, the games they got blown out. They got whooped by the Bills, but the two other games they lost to the Steelers by 2 points, and they lost to who they lose to last week, the Bucks. Basically they blocked the field goal, returned it for a touchdown. You saw my boy Aaron Glenn celebrate down the sideline. Then they gave up the field goal at the end of the game. I mean, the Jets, man, I don't know if they'll turn their season around, but I feel like they're going to be competitive each week. Honestly, I like what they've been doing so far. I like Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson. If Justin Fields is able to play and be a little consistent, because he looked pretty good against the Steelers, it's just that damn kickoff return fumble really put them in the hole. I feel like they can do some things out here. I'm not saying they can turn their season around where they make the playoffs, but I feel like they can be competitive each game and win some games. But overall, the two teams that I see turning their season around are the Texans and the Miami Dolphins. Brandon, what do you say, sir?
Pretty much on the same page. I should have bought a fork out here for the Saints. Put a fork in them. You don't have a franchise quarterback. It makes for a long season. Not to mention all the other issues they got. Giants again and again, same old shit, man. It never fails. Um, but no, they don't. They really had a tough 9 games to start the season. We're only 4 weeks in. Um, and I've been talking about this all off season. I don't even feel like they can recover enough to even be in the hunt in a sense. That's not even playoff talk. That's in the hunt. That's where they list like 9 through 11. They're gonna be down at number 15 or 16 in the NFC more than likely in a couple weeks. Titans, they got coaching issues, wide receiver issues, defensive issues. Plus, they've already lost two games at home. I'm confident in Cam Ward, but I'm not confident in the team that's around them. I think overall they're pretty much a joke besides him. Who we got? The Texans next. I think this is probably the easiest pick to turn it around out of all these winless teams. Um, there's nobody in the AFC South that really sounds great to me at the moment. I know Indianapolis is 3-0. I know that Jacksonville is out there playing pretty decent as well, but they're not a clear cut to me a winner right now in the the AFC South. Um, Plus, again, as you mentioned, they got that formidable defense. They just need to tighten up on that offensive line. And CJ Stroud's got to play better. He's got a lot of pressure on him, but he's got to play better. The Dolphins, clearly they've looked bad. Their secondary is trash. Ed and I talked about this off air a couple times. How bad their corners were heading into the season, and then they traded away Jalen Ramsey for Minka Fitzpatrick, and that left them with pretty much nobody out there. Um, Plus, they've got on the offensive side of the ball to turn things around. They got that quick play ability on offense. Waddle and Tyreek and Tua and the running backs. They can score when they want to, for sure. And the defensive line is also good. They aren't producing, but they're good. So that's why I haven't closed the door on the Dolphins all the way. And the New York Jets, I need another fork for them. I will say though that the run game has improved a lot from last year because their run game last year was absolutely horrendous. So yeah, I agree. The Dolphins and the Texans are probably the best chances of turning things around and possibly making some noise down the stretch.
All right.
All right, turning our attention back to week 4, we've got several other games on the schedule. Saints at Bills, Browns at Lions, Panthers at Patriots, Chargers at Giants, Titans at Texans in the late window, Jags at 49ers, Bears at Raiders. Sunday Night Football will feature Micah Parsons going back to Dallas with the Packers and Cowboys. And again, we got a Monday Night Football doubleheader, Jets and Dolphins. Bengals at Broncos. I'm going to start with these Monday Night Football games. The Jets and Dolphins, they got a battle for fourth place in the AFC East. Two winless teams. Something's got to give. I agree with Ed. And early in the show, I think the Dolphins can win this one. Um, but I'm not counting out that Aaron Glenn team for sure. Bengals at Broncos. This was a hell of a game last year, y'all. Week 17, Riley Moss was under attack the entire game. That's the Broncos corner. A little bit different this year because Joe Burrow is not going to be playing. Um, yeah, I think it's a must-win game though for Denver. Um, and I think again they'll have a better shot without Joe Burrow. Packers at Cowboys. This could be a trap game for Green Bay. We saw them come off that tough loss against the Cleveland Browns there in Ohio. Cowboys, they've been proven to put up some points this year. They were close against the Eagles. They beat the Giants. Of course, everybody beat the Giants, but still, um, I Packers stay focused. Y'all got this one. I don't want to, don't let the attention of Micah's homecoming take away from the game, take away from y'all's energy heading into this one. Y'all got to win this one there against the Cowboys. Jags at 49ers. I got respect for this 49ers team. They're 3-0 without their quarterback, their number one wide receiver and tight end, and now Bosa's out as well. This game won't be easy. Jacksonville is really good at creating turnovers with their defense. So San Fran, be on your P's and Q's as well. And then Chargers at Giants. It'll be nice to see a little change of pace there for the Giants. Cam Scatterbo, as you mentioned, Tyrone Tracy's out, so they really like Cam Scatterbo up there in New York. We'll see how he plays, and of course, all eyes will be on Jackson Dart. If Khalil Mack is out of this game may be closer than what a lot of people think. You know what I'm saying? We never know what we're going to get from the rookie quarterback. I'm not expecting much in this first game. This is still a very good Chargers team, but you never know. Again, the defense for Los Angeles did look a little different last week without Khalil Mack out there. Ed, which of these games you'll be watching Sunday and Monday?
Definitely looking at the Packers Cowboys. Michael Parsons taking on his former team. He's going to be motivated to play. Kenny Clark of the Cowboys taking on his former team. He's going to be motivated to play. I'm looking at this Bears Raider game. Is Caleb Williams going to have another performance like he did against the Cowboys, or was it a flash in the pan? We'll see. That Jags 49ers game, I'm glad you mentioned that too. That's another game I'm looking at. I think it'll be a close game as well. I want to see how Brock Purdy looks, if he's going to have any rust out there. Definitely looking at the Giants Chargers games too, just to see how Jackson Dart looks. I'm interested to see how the Giants defense looks against the Chargers, because they gave up a lot of points against the Cowboys and they let them get down the field about a millisecond to tie the game back up against the Cowboys as well, to lose that game, a heartbreaker. So those are the three games I'm most interested in seeing. Lions, Browns. I doubt the Lions are going to let the Browns do what the Packers did to them, but you never know with the Browns, man. That defense is pretty good. That defensive line, Myles Garrett is a game record too. So I'm interested to see how that game it goes. And then the Panthers and Patriots, man. Does the Panthers just have the Falcons number, or is this a sign of things to come? Can they do the same thing they did against the Falcons to the Patriots? We'll see. Drake May looked all right last week, but we'll see if he lets Bryce Young and company beat him. But those are the games I'm most interested in seeing as well. The double headers on Monday night. I mean, come on, what the hell is up with that? I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that, but we'll see.
Real quick, that Lions and Browns
Right.
game, I think it is. Yeah, I think the Lions offensive coordinator came out and said that the Browns, they did a good job at containing the Green Bay offense, but they haven't seen a run game like theirs. So a little bit of bulletin board material out there for the Browns. Again, we both give credit to where credit's due for this Browns defense, but they'll definitely have their hands full against what they call them, Sonic and Knuckles, on Sunday.
All right, let's get into our parlays for the week. I think it's a pretty obvious one. I could be wrong. You got to play the game to win a game. But give me the Bills over the Saints. I'm pretty sure that's probably the largest spread of this week. Give me the Bills over the Saints. I got to go with the Texans over the Titans. Must-win game for the Texans, man. They need to win that game. Give me the Texans over the Titans. I'm not betting against the Browns anymore. I'm just done. Not doing that one. Give me the Broncos over the Bengals. Uh, give me the Rams over the Colts. And I think that's going to be it. Give me the Bills over the Saints. Give me the Texans over the Titans. Give me the Broncos over the Bengals. Oh, give me, you know what? Give me the Chargers over the Giants. I like that matchup. Yeah, so let me start. Let me start over. Give me the Bills over the Saints, Chargers over the Giants, Texans over the Titans, Broncos over the Bengals, and Rams over the Colts. Brandon, what say you, sir?
We're not sharing notes, everyone. We didn't have a pre-production meeting. We're not cheating on the test, but I got the Bills over the Saints as well. I've got Lions over the Browns, Denver over Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, and one I just crossed my mind. Sorry, Ed. I got Atlanta over Washington without Daniels and um Scary Terry. I think Atlanta's gonna respond. They have to respond after a blowout like that with a team that we thought, after 2 weeks was gonna make some noise there in the NFC South and to go get blown out like that against a sorry team like Carolina. They're gonna respond. Give me Atlanta, Denver, Detroit, and Buffalo.
All right. That's gonna do it for another episode of the Breaking and Entering podcast. Hopefully, we have a healthy Sunday and Monday. No devastating injuries for anybody out there. Thank you for watching our show. Comment, like, and subscribe on YouTube. Look for Breaking and Entering podcast, B&E podcast. Look for us on Twitter, also known as X, Instagram as well, B&E podcast and podcast B&E. And y'all be safe out there. We'll be back Tuesday to recap these games. Talk to y'all later.